Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you're watching this on. So shout out to all of our new subscribers and viewers who are watching this. We really appreciate it. And if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe and comment what you think about this video. We greatly are open to feedback and are always looking to improve our services to help you, especially if you're a first-time home buyer or an investor who might be looking for other creative ways in purchasing homes.
Yeah, and I want to thank my one viewer that watches all my videos. Thank you so much, because I get up every day to do that. No, I truly appreciate everyone. I think we only do it for you guys because we really want to provide some sort of value, right? And I hope that you're learning from these videos. And if you give us your comments and your comment and you tell us exactly what you want to hear, we'll produce it.
Yes, absolutely. So intentionality is a huge thing, and coming from a place of value and contribution to our community, today we're going to be talking about strategies. Last Memorial Day, on Monday, on our latest video, we were talking about what's happening in the market. And so we all know that interest rates have increased, and coincide with home prices coming down. Now, what does that mean for first-time home buyers who are entering the market? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Excellent. I think strategy is really important, regardless of what rates are doing. You're always got to strategize. I know we work with our customers and we put strategies in place for them. We talk about their finances. We want to make sure they're set to be able to buy, afford, and not get into any financial problems in the future because they over-purchase, right? Mm-hmm. And there's always a strategy to the plan, right? And right now, when rates being so high, you definitely should have a strategy in place more than ever. One of the things you could look at doing, is nothing new, is a temporary buy down. Temporary buy downs, if you don't know how they work, let me explain. It's a way of getting into the market with a lower interest rate for a temporary period. 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. So a minimum, if you can get a temporary buy down, for example, if your interest rate is 7% on a conventional loan, and you get a 1 year temporary buy down, for the first 12 months, your rate's gonna be 6%. And your payment's gonna be based off, your principal and interest payment's gonna be based off of 6%. And that can save you, depending on the loan amount, up to $1,000, or a pretty high amount of savings a month. So how do we strategize, Angelica? Because obviously we don't want our buyers to pay the buy down, right? Because that's the same money it would come out of their pocket on a monthly basis. So what is our strategy? Because I know we work very well to get 1 year buy downs, even 2 year buy downs for most of our clients. And that's how we get them right now. Because those payments, even if I think even if a client tells us, I want a $4,000 payment, and we show them the math to get them $4,000, and they're like, okay, we're good with that payment. Sometimes they're still, right now, with the market being so volatile, they still have second doubts because they're afraid, right? Like, what's going to happen? What if my job? What if the cost of goods continues to go up? That $4,000 may be too much, even though I'm comfortable today. So this 1 year buy down it provides, or the 2 year buy down provides a safety net to see what happens. And hopefully the idea is we refinance you into a fixed 30-year payment with a lower interest rate in that period of time, whether it's 12 months or 24 months.
Yes, so this is the reason why real estate professionals like ourselves get paid a commission, because of the negotiation strategy. Now, what, Ruben, you're talking about is how am I, the real estate agent, am able to actually negotiate to get a seller credit. Now, if you don't know, for all of our first-time home buyers out there, a seller credit is negotiated by your buyer's agent. They go and they speak to the listing agent. They ask them, what's the level of motivation for their seller? When do they have to close by? How much are they willing to help or contribute as far as a seller credit to the buyer in order to make this a win-win for everyone? That's a very important question. And the reason why is because your purchase price, whatever that's going to look like, let's just say, for example, $625,000, and us, the buyer's agent, is going to ask for $25,000 back. In result, that's 4% of that purchase price. So if you look at it in totality, although your purchase price looks like $625,000, the reality is the seller is only going to be receiving $600,000 because $25,000, which is 4% of that total purchase price, is coming back as a seller credit to the buyer in the form of a rate buy down, closing cost coverage, and sometimes even part of the commission for the buyer's agent.
Okay. Yeah. So just to clarify, this is something that comes from the seller. And if I'm the buyer, I'm getting my rate buy down, my closing costs paid for, and if I'm active duty or I'm doing a VA loan, a veteran, I could potentially even get my earnest deposit back, right? Because
Exactly.
we've done that before.
Yes, yes. And this is the reason why representation matters. Because if you're working with a new agent or for someone who's less experienced or someone who may not know what they're doing, they might not know how to strategize in this way to represent a buyer's best interest.
Let me say too, I mean, it's known that 80% of the agents, or it's a little bit higher than that, have closed one or less than one transaction in the last 12 months.
Yes.
So who you work with, who you choose to be your mortgage consultant, your real estate agent, who you decide to have on your corner could make a huge difference on how much it's going to cost you or what you're going to get back. Because an experienced agent will be able to negotiate terms, knows how to position yourself in the best situation possible and negotiate the best deal for you. And maybe somebody that doesn't have the experience is afraid to go in there, kind of put on the gloves because they don't want to lose the deal because they're not too sure how to negotiate.
Yes, and I will also say this, there's a lot of buyers out there as well who prefer working with a listing agent. Now, as a listing agent and a buyer's agent, there are differences in representation when you're working with a buyer's agent versus listing agent. So number one, for the listing agent, their number one goal is to get the highest and best offer for the seller. This is going to result into more money in their pocket. For a buyer, and their representation, their number one goal is to get them the best deal on the market. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that look like? Seller credits, closing cost coverage, rate buy down, the seller paying for their commission, and what have you. There's so many different fees that goes into closing costs for a buyer that it's important to have a buyer's representative that's really going to go in fighting, swinging, just like you mentioned, for the best deal possible. So for all of the agents who are practicing dual agency, it's really important to understand there's a very fine line between representing a buyer and a seller. And in most cases, I'm sure some agents who are watching right now are completely against dual agency because it's extremely difficult to walk that path to where you're representing both sides. Because how can you fight for somebody to get the highest and top dollar while fighting for the person who wants the least amount to pay for?
That sounds like really difficult to do. You have to pick one side. Because if I'm going to get, like you just said, my seller top dollar, but my buyer wants more money back, then oh, wow.
Yes. So for somebody who's had experience, who has practiced dual agency, I'm very big on being data-driven. I'm very analytical. If you're looking for an agent who's very detail-oriented, who's very structured and likes organization, I'm your agent right here. So feel free to give me a call and let's set an appointment today. With that being said, I think it's very important to always drive negotiations with facts. It's really important to print out data. What are the comps showing? What are the comps projecting as far as the patterns of history? I like to take 5 years of a market industry or a neighborhood, if you will, in a specific, very narrow, very minute scope of proximity. I like to do a proximity of 1 mile or less with it and compare it apples to apples. If this is a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, I'm going to compare it to a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. And that data is going to be shown to both the buyer and the seller, so that way we're all on the same page, understanding that this right here, Mr. Buyer and Mr. Seller, this is the fair market value for your home. Now, depending on whether or not we have multiple offers on the table, that's going to determine whether or not the seller is going to come up on top because the buyer is competing against multiple offers, or if the seller is going to come down low because this is the only offer we have on the table. Those are some factors that we need to consider when practicing dual agency.
You know, there's so many emotions when you're buying a home or you're selling your home that somebody can take advantage of those emotions, right? Very easily, right? Because they could say all the right things, pump you up, but there's nothing like having data, right? And putting the data in front of you so our clients can make an informed decision based on actual numbers. And I love that because working on the mortgage side, it's all driven by numbers, right? It's like, show me the numbers. And if 2 + 2 is 4, there's no other way of saying any other number. So my job is all data driven, number driven. Like, how do I qualify somebody? I got to look at the numbers, make sure they qualify. There's no gray areas. But I think it should be like that across the board. And I think that's what we do across the board. We show data. We represent the client. We show the client exactly what's going on, how much their home is worth, how they're going to get their mortgage, how the buy down works, the closing costs. And the client feels way more confident and comfortable because they actually can see it. And of course, there's an emotional part of it because we're not robots, we're humans, and we build relationships with our clients, but we still keep it very data driven.
Absolutely. And I think if you're in this market and you're about to invest more than $500,000
minimum, that's like a condo, guys. Here in San Diego, one of the most expensive markets in all of the United States, $500,000 is getting you a condo.
Yes. I mean, you're investing into a tangible asset that's going to build wealth over time.
Well, that's the thing, right? If a condo is $500,000, it's because it's gone up in value, right? You go to other states where a condo is $100,000 and it doesn't appreciate the way it appreciates in San Diego. So that's the kind of the benefit too of buying properties in San Diego or investment properties or your primary residence that you know in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, you're going to have appreciation.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
It's the best investment you can make.
I mean, I know someone who they purchased their home in the 1970s in La Jolla for $20,000. To date, it's more than $2 million.
Hey.
You know, so and obviously, you know, that's over the longevity of time.
Right.
But I think if you are looking to buy properties and, you know, maybe on the fence of whether or not selling them after a year or two, that may or may not be the best strategy to build wealth. But if you're looking at this as, okay, how can I build generational wealth over time? Look at it through the scope of decades, because your real wealth is going to come in over 10 years. 20 years, right. 30 years, etc. So if you're looking for a short-term partner in this industry, I personally may not be the best fit for you. However, if you're looking for a long-term agent who's really going to hold your hand throughout this process, back it up by facts and data, let's take an appointment and sit down and analyze the anatomy of your financials and see how we can make this work.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. And like always, we put the link below. Like it, share it, and subscribe.
Yes. Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Bye, everyone.